Hi there, Ming. It's Martin and Nick, and today we're going to go through this property on Pershore Road in Middleton for 184,995. So let's get into it. So I'm going to share screen, and here we go. Right, I'll make it a bit bigger for you, and we can see that what we're going to do, of course, is just quickly leaf through all of these estate agency pictures. Let's do a review of the place, and then we'll talk about the Vuber stuff, which I haven't seen yet. Okay, so firstly, it's got engineered wood flooring, which is in good condition, and some undulations there. Nothing major. It's an older but modern building, which is good. So it's clean and it's dry. So in fact, if we look at the floor plan, we can see it's actually quite a big property. But they're including this loft room, which we'll talk about a little later, which can be a little bit problematic, but loft rooms can be a bit problematic. And the other thing is we've got conservatories and extra bits and pieces here, and it'll be interesting just to sort of get a sense of the layout and how that's working. Anyway, it's well built, and you can see that it's been repointed because you can see, if you look on this house here, the strips behind the bricks are darker where they're lighter here. So it's had a pretty deep renovation.
I analyze, and the property next door is 20 years older than this one.
Okay.
So maybe that's why.
It's beyond economy. It's got nice little covings, dado rails, and reasonably tastefully done interior painting. And the flooring, as I said, is engineered wood, I would expect. So that's where you have a substrate of plywood, and then you have a wood veneer on top, probably. But it's very hard wearing. You can see, in fact, it's just slightly gone here in this corner here. So that might be something to do with, I don't know why. But anyway, it all looks fine. This looks reasonably dated. That double glazing is blown, just classic issue. It's not a big deal. It's just like it's £100 to get more glass, or 140 quid or whatever. You pop out the old glass, pop in the new glass, and off you go. So the kitchen could need some improving. And then in this room, I think this would be corrugated plastic Perspex-y type stuff. Very bad on heat insulation, hot in the summer, cold in the winter. But anyway, they've done it nicely. And here we have the carpets, which are okay. Again, this was all extensively modernized, I would say about 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 to 30 years ago. This is very much like a 1990s style. The colors, that kind of peach color was popular back then. And the windows look okay. And this carpet looks okay, etc. So it's one of those properties where it could do with updating, but not necessarily modernizing of them. Well, modernizing, I suppose. But anyway, fine. It's a decently large bedroom here.
Yeah. The property
you either love this or you hate it. I think it's not worth changing. And yeah, again, very 90s, kind of that peach. Now, the thing with these loft rooms are they're good, but they're problematic. They're good because they're a whole load of extra space. They're problematic because they don't have fire regulations, and they're not really an actual loft conversion as such, i.e. There would be a fire door at the bottom, etc. So that's why these are marketed as loft rooms, but technically you can't use them. So as a landlord, really all you can do is use it, advise the tenants to use it as an office or something like that. Anyway, I see we've got an office down at the bottom there, or a nice space, very nicely done garden. You know, these people really like this property, and in my experience with these kind of properties, they are in massive demand from owner occupiers. So just because it's got loads of features. So then you're into the whole thing about, well, is it worth competing on, etc. I don't know, because the problem will be that people, owner occupiers, will go all in on this one, I suspect. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the other stuff here. And we can see the pointing is in good condition. It's got that nice conservatory at the back. It's got that, well, one of the good things about this conservatory is that it has this opaque roof, which is a good thing. So you don't have direct sunlight belting through, and hopefully it's thermally efficient, but it's quite nicely done. And
Yep.
Let's move on. I mean, it's a delightful house, but here's an interesting little issue. It's just, yeah, chewed up grass because the curb isn't set up right for this. But anyway, at least you can fit 2 cars in there, which is a good thing. And I'm always going on about people driving over our grass because it's really annoying. It turns into kind of bogginess in the winter. But also, just to say, it's quite a nice road, and obviously there's quite a lot. We'll have a look at this in a minute, but just the location is interesting. There's a lot of cars on that road, and you've got the double yellow lines, which means that it's kind of an interesting, popular location. Okay, let's have a look at the videos and see how they look. And so the first one, oh, sorry, it's gone onto a different monitor. Let's get this over. Here we go. No, come on. Sorry, I've got a triple monitor set up here, you see, so it's all just a bit like, try that again. Okay, here we go. All right, and very nice road. Actually, a nice road. Genuinely, I like this road. And we've got those which looked like 1940s, 30s houses. So when was this property built? Do you know?
Between 150 and 166. 1966, yeah.
It was a good time for property building, or for building.
Yeah, that's
they
what
were
they
well
said.
built in that period.
Yeah, after the Second World War, is this and next door, the one 31 and 33, because this is 29 number and 27. They're built between 1950 and 1966, and the next door is between 1930s, 1945. So,
well, yeah, so it's good, and the roof is in good order, by the way. So let's go inside to see what's happening in there. So overall, this just needs painting and decorating, and some of that kind of 90s look needs to improve. I always think with these cupboards, it's just so much better if you just board them out and make them look pretty, even though it's just a cupboard. But it's great to see a bit of storage for your vacuum cleaners and stuff. We've got a burglar alarm, that's good. And overall, this is quite well decorated, and you can tell because of the borders. So people who DIY interiors badly, you get paint. You get smudginess on the edges between the different colors and stuff, but this has been done well. And the coving, it's all very nice and needs very little real work. This is a proper family home, I would say. And with the kitchen, it's debatable as to whether you change it or not. Whilst it's not very modern looking, it's in good condition. So yeah, is it worth modernizing? And I think probably not. I think you might have a modern, if you really want to make it nice, you might modernize the appliances. Now that glass is gone, which we saw earlier. Not overlooked, that's also a big benefit. People like their privacy, especially if you've got, a back garden or whatever. It's just nice to be able to wander around in your underwear, whatever it is you like to do, and so on. Now that's interesting. If we look at that there, you see that flooring. Now that tells me that this is, I'm not sure what's going on with this, whether you can see it's curled up at the edge. That's not such a good thing. And I don't know. It's just one of those wear and tear issues. The trouble is, if you want to replace 2 boards, you kind of have to rip up a lot of flooring. So this looks to me like it's not engineered wood, but it's just a plastic laminate. But it's in reasonable condition mostly, and therefore it's like, would you bother changing it? Probably not. All right, let's go upstairs. Anything you would, or I would seriously look at is just like staircase. This is all okay. It's just, it's that old thing about, you know, if you get the little touches right and you present it well, then you can maximize the rent. So that carpet in the bedroom needs cleaning or changing. I think this is quite nice. Yeah. And we have an apartment up in central London which has this kind of effect. It's a kind of, it's a marble tile, and I quite like it. We yeah, we've got this apartment up in like central, and it's quite posh. And this is, so it's quite a posh look. That's port out, starboard home, by the way. That's something to do with the years gone by. People would travel to India, administrators and people like that from England, and they would go port out, the right side out and the left side back, because the right side would be the shaded bit. And then on the way back, the left side would be the shaded bit. Textured ceilings, I really dislike those, but it's very commonplace in these kind of properties. So, you know, hey, what can you do? Yeah, one thing nice. You really...
It's nice size for this 3rd bedroom. Usually they are so tiny, but this one's large.
Yeah, you can really feel the extra space in this, can't you? Yeah. One thing I would probably do is just replace carpets and have the same carpet through each room, just to make it more uniform. It's a very quiet road, by the way, which is great. And let's just skip along a little bit. The good thing is, when we skip along like this, what does it mean? It means that there isn't much to look at, which is a good thing, because if we're dwelling upon various features and go, oh, that's terrible, you know, then you know, but this is fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's just well looked after, it's clean, and whoever owns this place looks after it nicely. Now, this is the loft room. Actually, this does need a little bit of attention, so let's just start at the start. Now, off we go here. Now, the first thing is, there isn't a safe... Is there a door there? I don't remember seeing one.
No, it's not.
And that's an issue. So what we don't know is whether this is a proper loft conversion, or whether it's just boarding out the roof.
Proper. If it was, it will be listed as 3rd bedroom, 4th bedroom in this case.
The thing about the 4th bedroom is it's an incremental benefit. So 3 bedrooms is a huge deal. 4 bedrooms, you know, it's just spare. And what I've found with these kind of loft rooms is they're nice, but if you've got the essentials like your 3 beds, then this just becomes nice extra. But this would be a great study for someone. Like, what a nice little office, and you could just work away up here undisturbed, do your thing, and that would work very well. So, okay, so that's that. Now let's have a look at the other stuff, the demographics and all of that good stuff. So I'll make this a bit bigger. And just on demographics, just a very middle class area, as you'd imagine. And we'll have a look a little later on the street view, and you can see that it is just very middle class. Now, it's odd how, I suppose the issue with this road is it's not that wide, and therefore they had to put double yellow lines on one side. And part of the issue is because these houses here don't have parking in situ, as it were. So they have to go on the street, and that's a problem. But at least this house has double parking, which is great. Now, in respect to the kind of sunlight story, sunrises and east, sets in the west. That's north facing, so but that's fine. And then the back of the house is the warm, sunny bit, which is great. So lots of green space, nice little setup. Quite a lot of crime over here, and I'm not sure why. It looks like it's quite a, this little patch is not so great, but, and quite a lot of some crime here. But you know what? This area is very quiet. So 1 crime a month on average, it's fine. All right, now let's talk about capital growth. And it hasn't been one of the strongest areas for growth recently. Now, if we look at the difference between now and 2008, it's 4% down or thereabouts. So it's not a stellar growth story around here. It's okay. This little patch seems to have done very well. Why is that? Because it's got lots of social housing. People have been selling off the housing. They buy it at discount. They resell it at profit.
A new build.
And you got new build and so on. So this is like a strong area. This is not such a strong area. It's just a solid workhorse capital growth area. It's one of those kind of places where in the property crash, when the crash comes, what'll happen is it won't have got overbought and it won't crash that hard. Although saying that, let's have a look. So it went from 2013, it dropped fairly hard. It's okay on growth. It's okay. It's not great. It's okay. So let's have a look at the bigger picture on growth. And broadly, what I think is going to happen, well, what I know is happening, because I'm seeing it constantly now, is that the prime areas here in this ring here are kind of overbought a little bit. And so people are looking for value further out. And so as the capital growth cycle progresses, and I'm going to show you a little diagram just because that'll help you visualize it a little better. All right, so what's happening? We know that there are property cycles, 8 of them. Now we're number 9. So property cycles, and we know that we're somewhere about here on the boom cycle. So we're about a year and a bit in on the boom, and we've got another 3 to 4 years left. And then it's problems time. So the whole thing is buy now and then just hold. And so here we have the crash, and of course the data that I'm always interested in is how did it do in the crash? And the answer is it did kind of okay. It hit a bit heavier in the crash, and that's probably because it's just that little bit further out. So these kind of properties, they make great solid earners. It's going to be very popular with owner occupiers. I think it's likely the price will go up beyond a point where it's viable, but we will find out. Now, over to you, Martin.
So I will share my screen. I will go first for the location. First, I will go for the parking. As you know, you can fit 2 cars. You have double line. You cannot park it on this side, only on this. Just because this is made, just because people who live on other side of the street doesn't have parking. So basically they left the car on this side of the street.
Nice sunny back garden, and also not very overlooked either, which is good.
Yeah, it's a large garden. You have like as Nick said, like a study room there. You have extension, which is also nice. So I really like the property.
Loads of owner occupiers. I'm just setting Ming and Xu. I'm just setting your expectations here because I think it's going to get quite crowded out with
here is more crimey because this building is social house. So I guess that's why, if like we said, we have more crime on this road just because this is social house.
But as you notice with crime, Ming and Xu, it's very localized, isn't it?
Yeah.
So people go, oh, it's a crimey area. Well, actually, crime just happens on certain roads in certain little patches, and you can be 50 meters away and there's nothing going on at all. So it's just one of those things.
And you have new builds there, you have new builds here, new build there. So like a lot of new builds in this part of the Middleton. So the central Middleton is really close. Next by you have like just small stores here. You don't have like really large markets, but you have in the central Middleton, which
what's it like for drive time to downtown?
6 minutes. It's 26 minutes by walking. It's 18 minutes in transport because it's mixed circles.
Oh, it's kind of going all around the houses.
Yeah. And if you go to the city center, Manchester. if you want to. It's 47 minutes, so it's
Right.
not that.
Yeah, and you can kind of see why. So these kind of areas are real owner-occupier areas. So it's where the parent, it's a family, and the parents make a decision, right, we're going to live further out. We're going to buy a bigger place, we're going to have grass, all that good stuff, but dad
Yeah.
has to commute. And
Yeah,
that's how it works.
yeah, but you have like a lot of schools around, so this
It's a
property
real
will
owner-occupier area. Yeah.
yeah, but
It'll
and it's really
always rent well around there. And that's a point. I didn't check the rent, and let me just do that quickly. Whilst you're going through this, I'll just check.
okay. I will go with property tool. I don't know because it doesn't have data for number 29, but it has 27 and 27 is next door, which is also semi-detached next door. So it's the year of build. And this property is larger what we view because it have loft room and it have extension, so that's why. But a loft room it didn't include in the size. So yeah, and EPC is D, and it's 55.
That's unusually good considering it's got a loft room, because the issue with loft rooms is that the EPC assessors can't work out how much insulation is in them, and therefore they just say no insulation.
Yeah.
But the reality is, of course, it has insulation. It's just the guy couldn't go up there and see the insulation in it, and therefore he rates it really low. But if you're able to prove if you were to take off some of that boarding and document the whole process to prove, yes, we've got the insulation, then you get a much higher score.
Yeah, and what they need to do to be C, basically a room in the roof of insulation. But I think it have floor
Of
insulation.
course it would have insulation. It'd
yeah,
be crazy.
And lighting need to be improved. And yeah, so
it's all basics. So, okay, because I'm just conscious our video is dragging on a little. So, all right, what
comparables?
Comparables.
I think it will rent for 1,875.
And are you able to pick out some properties of interest and just generate a report for Ming and Shu? Yeah. So I remember doing this, and it's quite nice. It's just helpful for people because then they can see.
So yeah, this is the rent, like 895, 895, 895, 900, but it's newer. But I think it will rent for because when I sent this property, I said it will rent for 825, but it will rent for 8.
I think it'll go higher. I think 875 all day long.
Yeah.
It's got all those amenities. It's got that loft room. It's got the thing down the end of the garden. It's
just, maybe even 900. And when you go for newest listed, I just want to give comparables. I find, because this is like not the same type of house, I will find now.
Yeah, the thing is, one always has to factor in house price inflation and inflation with all of this stuff. So if you
180, 200, 210, but no, wait, there is one. This not 230. It have garage, without garage 200. And this is the newer anyway, the property than 295, 155, but this is smaller. I check it already.
Well, it's classic owner-occupier stuff here. So
yeah, I will not be surprised if it's sell for, because I saw one. Wait, here it is, similar type of property, same year built. It's sold for 200. It's a little bit like it have, and it's similar type on the floor. It have already extension.
It's got nice, but they've got a bigger conservatory and they made it more open plan, which is nice.
Yeah. So and also the size is similar, and it doesn't have the loft room. So because in this property, I will not be surprised if it go up to 200. And if it's go to up to 200, let's say 875.
It's going to be thin on yield. Yeah. I just think it's one of those solid rent. So let's do a final summary, shall we?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, it's going to be swarmed by owner-occupiers because it's got all these nice features. And whenever I've seen a house that's actually been loved and it's got all these little extras, it just goes a bit crazy with owner-occupiers. So firstly, that's that. And secondly, I think the yields on these places are going to be thin. but there is a lot of demand for this kind of property because it's rare, and therefore you'll always rent it out, and that's great, but your income is going to be thin. So, and the capital growth, this isn't a capital growth monster, this one. This is going to creep up. I think there are other areas in Manchester which I think will do better than this.
But it's really
you know,
large
it's
property.
nice. It's a lovely house, but it just doesn't. So, okay, I'm going to give it my kind of out of 10 scores. Capital growth, I give it a 7. I don't think it's super strong. For the expected price, I think it's going to go high. I think as a property, it's lovely. It's an 8. It needs a bit of modernizing, but it's just got all the amenities, and it's a delightful family home. So that's my take on it. What's yours, Martin?
Yeah, I think the same. The capital growth will be not great, but just the property is not really old, and it's nice. It's large, really large. It needs some modernization, but I like it. But I think, yes, as you said, it will have a lot of competition from owner-occupier. So, yeah.
Okay, so what do you suggest the offer should be on it?
At least 190, because 185.
And what yield is that then? So, you know, if we think about yield here, because obviously you have to.
Yeah. So I will go up to 200 if you really like it, but 195, I think it will be yield nicely, because 175.
Well, you know, if you're thinking about like going all the way on a property, I would go all the way on the Laburnum one, because that's just a prime renter.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and this one, it will rent with 195. But if you want to buy more property, you can go with Laburnum and buy this one, because if you can take it for 195, it will be really nice, because it will give you 5.4 yield. So that's right. Good. And but it will have also capital growth. Not really strong as Laburnum, but it will have at least.
Yeah. Well,
and
there you go.
Really nice
so overall, I think this feels like a kind of 7.5 out of 10 deal. It's probably worth making the offer, not necessarily going in all in on this one. Just make an offer, see what happens, go through the motions, and then if you get it, great. But you get it because it's at the right price for you, and that's what I would do with this one.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.